Welcome to the Artist Advisory Hotline, your connection to the art world and your higher self. With nearly 15 years of experience working in New York City galleries and a decade of deep dive into mindset and spirituality, I'm your host, Marina Granger. Consider me your holistic guidance counselor to the art world. Now, let's transform you into the artist that you've always desired to be, because you truly shift into the next level when your mind and spirit are aligned with the growth in your career. So here we go. Hello, hotties. Welcome to the hotline. I'm your host, Marina Granger, and today we're going to talk about something that I know has been on your mind. I know you've been wondering what is going on with these tariffs. How are they going to affect my career? What is going to happen? Are people even going to buy art anymore? Well, here I am. I'm going to talk you off the proverbial ledge if you may have been on it. But I am, of course, not here to tell you that everyone on the news is wrong. Yes, things are a little intense. Earlier this week, we had the stock market fluctuate incredibly, up to 30% or maybe more, depending on what your portfolio is like. And I know that if you're 5 years pre or post retirement, this is really, really scary, but don't let this scare you fully, because since then, the stock market has gone back up a little bit. And also, we know from history that the stock market always goes up no matter what. After a bear market, there's always a bull market, right? We just know that that's how it works. Now, I'm not an economist here telling you all about it. Maybe we'll have one on the podcast. That might be fun. But for now, I am here to tell you three solid reasons that these tariffs are not going to stop collectors from buying your work. I'm also going to dive into the neuroscience behind how you can think about this time so that you can actually create sales for yourself, that you do not turn your back on any opportunities. And I'm not saying that you would be opportunistic in at the expense of others. Absolutely not. But this is a wonderful time for you to rewire your mind so that you see more opportunity for yourself. And the third thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you 3 ways that you can prepare in the case that these tariffs actually hit. Because right now we are still in the negotiation phase. Nothing has gone into effect. And honestly, we don't even know what's going on, right? But here I am. Okay. So let's dive into the 3 reasons that this won't stop collectors from buying your work. Number 1 is that as of now, art is not going to be subject to these tariffs. And one of the biggest reasons that that's the case is because these tariffs are meant to target manufactured goods. Art is usually one of a kind. And on top of that, it falls under freedom of speech. So I don't think that it's going to be a thing, right? And also, forget what I think. There are actual law experts at major art institutions who also agree and believe that this won't be a thing for art. Art will not be subject to tariffs. And I think also antiques that are over 100 years old, because they are a cultural thing. So anyway, moving on. All right. Reason number 2. When collectors buy your work, they buy your work not because of how much it costs. Sure, that's definitely a part of it. But they buy your work mostly because they see the value in the connection that they have to it. So it's an emotional connection. They buy it for emotion, right? And so in times of uncertainty, actually, art is one of the most certain things that people can have. And when they see your work, they feel so connected to it. They will undoubtedly buy it. And I'm going to give you an example here and show you how also in the past, when there were times of economic uncertainty, art was actually one of those ways that major collectors would or even new collectors would diversify their portfolio. They would actually buy art to make sure that they're not putting all their eggs in the one basket that is the stock market. And a good example of that is 2008. And so back in 2008, I was 4 years into working in galleries. I was working on the Lower East Side in a gallery that was opened by a former director of a major gallery in Chelsea. Now, because of the stock market crash in 2008, real estate was all of a sudden such a buyer's market, such a renter's market. It was so cheap compared to before to get real estate in New York City. So a lot of the directors that were working at major established galleries in Chelsea or in Soho at the time, they were also let go because their salaries were too much for the gallery to sustain. And so they were let go, or maybe they decided to quit while they were ahead. And there was a whole new gallery neighborhood that sprung up in the Lower East Side. This created a neighborhood that is still there to this day with major galleries such as Gallery Perotin. I mean, I think Gallery Perotin was definitely not, like Emmanuel Perotin didn't work for a big dealer in Chelsea and then open his gallery in the Lower East Side. He actually is a mega gallerist from France and said, hey, look at all these galleries on the Lower East Side. I'm going to have a giant gallery here too, right? So what happened was there's this beautiful gallery neighborhood because of this stock market crash. And so many artists are having so much going on there right now, including, I just want to give a shout out to a couple of artists or more than a couple of artists that I've worked with who are in an upcoming group show there. It is a collaboration between Paradise Palace and Gloria's. And it opens, I think, on May 10th, which is like exactly a month from when this episode will hopefully air. And I will link that in the show notes for you, but I can't wait to see you there if you're there. But anyway, okay. So back to the scheduled programming. Okay. So when it comes to this thing that happened in 2008, not only was it easier to open a gallery back then, and a whole new gallery neighborhood sprung up because of it. Collectors came to buy work. Major collectors came to buy work because they wanted to diversify their portfolio. And they knew that art was an excellent way to do that, especially art by early to mid-career artists, because they knew that it was something that was going to proverbially, did I say that right? Was going to get them in on the ground floor. Okay. Very cool. All right. So then the next thing that I want to tell you is that the next reason that this won't stop collectors from buying your work, if anything, depending on wherever you are in the world, right? If anything, it's going to help the local market flourish. So what I would invite you to do is to focus on the local regional market of where you are and get in touch with the art community there, become that big artist in your local region, right? This is really huge. And recently on the podcast, we had Keith Smith, who's a gallerist, and he offered this advice to any artist listening who wanted to break into the New York City art world. Go and flourish in your local market first, because it is a really great way to build up your career. Okay, so the other thing I want to tell you is how the mind works around this. Now, I actually spoke to Katerina Popova on Art and Cocktails at length about this. I don't know if you listened to that podcast, but it's really amazing. She's like a soul sister of mine. I love her so much. But we were talking about how to really look at the market and buying, like how the market's fluctuating and no one's buying art and da 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 da. And how do you go about this? Here's the thing, everybody's still buying art. Okay. You have this beautiful thing. It is called the model of reality. I talked about this in a few episodes back. And the model of reality is how we see the world. At any given moment, we have over 2 million bits of information in front of us. And our reticular activating system, our mind, takes those 2 million bits of information and it digests it down to the 100 bits of information that we are conscious of at any given moment. What it does to the other 2 million bits of information is it deletes, distorts, or generalizes them. And so what you are left with is what you truly believe in. And when you believe that there is a down market, when you believe that it is hard to sell your work right now, when you believe that because the economy is struggling, no one's buying artwork, right? When you believe this, or when you believe, yes, the economy is long-term struggling, it's really bad, it's really hard for everyone, guess what? Your mind is going to find the bits of information that it has in front of it that is going to support those beliefs. Okay. Your mind is going to find those bits of information that will support those beliefs because your mind wants you to be right. Right? Don't you want to be right? Well, here's the thing. I invite you to really think about how that's not the case. That actually, right now, people are selling their work, people are showing their work. Art is thriving. Art is always being sold as a way to also emotionally connect to the viewer, right? To the collector. The collector emotionally connects to it. But on top of that, people buy art to diversify their portfolios. Okay. We could get into a whole thing about people who buy art as an investment. We're not going to right now, but I'm just telling you, it's not a thing. Don't allow yourself to fall into the trap of thinking that because it's a down market, people aren't buying work, right? And so that is the neuroscience behind it. Now, I want to give you 3 ways that you can prepare for the tariffs if and when they do hit, and so that it doesn't fully affect your practice as much as as intensely. Now, the first and foremost obvious thing is the materials that you use. Are the materials that you use to make your work imported? Are they going to be subject to these tariffs? More than likely. But what you want to do is you want to either find materials that you can use from a local manufacturer, or maybe you can stock up on some of these materials. Now, if that's impossible, the other thing I would want you to do is to mentally prepare yourself for adjusting the price of your work. It's okay to raise the price of your work a bit. And as a matter of fact, it's so important for you to be fully aligned with the price of your work, knowing that when you are selling your work, knowing that when you're selling your work, you have to fully feel comfortable with the price. An artist that I work with knows this in her core, and she just felt like, hey, I know that I have a resistance to selling this new artwork that I created at this price. So what she did was she thought, why am I resistant to this price? Figured out she was resistant to this price because it was too low. This was a brand new work of art in a whole new series, took a lot more time and detail and thinking, and she just felt like it had to be higher. So what she did was she mentally doubled the price of the artwork before she sent out a newsletter announcing the artwork to her list. And instantly got a response and had it sold. right? Because the energy was aligned. And when I say energy, what I'm really talking about is your mind. What I'm really talking about is how your mind filters out the 2 million bits of information in front of you and transforms that into every single way that you think, feel, act, communicate, everything. Okay. And if you are interested in learning more about that, you can dive into the episode where I talk about your model of reality. It's just a few episodes back, but you can also come and join me on my free 3-day live training this April 16th, 17th, and 18th on how to get into galleries that don't accept submissions. We are going to be talking about the business side of that, but also the energetic side of that. And this is going to be such an incredible event where you are going to be you can enter a contest to win incredible prizes, including a one-to-one session with me, spot in my signature program, the Artist Academy, that helps you master your mindset, get into good galleries, and manifest your dream career. And also, on top of that, you get to experience the energy, the momentum of the community for 3 days in a row. So go ahead and join me. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. And that brings me to the third way that you can prepare for all of this. Now, I do say that collectors buy your work, curators go and show your work, galleries fall in love with your work. They do that. They spread your message because your message is magnetic to them. Your message is magnetic to them. They connect to it. So the third thing that you can do to prepare for any of this is to refine your message, to truly magnetize yourself, which is my entire strategy. Because when you mend to your garden, the butterflies will come. This is a quote by Mario Quintana, not by me, but that is the analogy. That is the analogy that I bring to all of this. So without further ado, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I cannot wait to see you next week when we do our free live training on how to get into galleries that don't accept submissions. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review and share your biggest takeaway. Share with a friend or share on social media and tag us and help us keep this podcast going. See you next time.